right, welcome to episode number 2 of What the Work. I'm your host, Ryan Hankus, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing a Navy Corpsman, Travis Leahy here. How's it going, buddy?
It's going real well, Ryan. Thanks,
Yeah.
appreciate that. That was a good intro.
Yeah, thank you.
You said it right. What are we at? We're at 2 out of 3 presidents so far have said Corpsman correctly, so I'm real proud of you on that one.
I know. Really, how big of a deal is that in the Navy?
As being a corpsman?
Yeah, or even any of the rates, I guess.
So as far as what I've always told people is, go ahead and open one of those
I forgot. Tradition, got to keep it.
Ryan's got to open up a Pacifico real quick. All right,
So you got yours. Cheers, buddy. Alrighty.
Go. So what I've always told people is the corpsman rating missed its mark. It doesn't belong in the Navy. We are the bastard children of the Navy, unfortunately, because we do still get sideways glances on all the uniforms we wear, different uniforms. So, so we'll back it up.
Yeah, okay, how about this? Let's start let's start with, first of all, okay, you go in the Navy.
Yes.
All right, went out of high school, you waited a little bit.
I waited a little bit. So I joined at about 21, 22 time frame, age-wise, and this was about 5-6 years ago. So I joined at that point in my life, tried college for a little bit, like everybody else does.
Wasn't your thing?
I feel like it was my thing, but I was getting complacent. I got a little antsy, and everyone's got their, like, why'd you join, or what was the reasoning behind it all? And, fighting for God and country didn't last too long as far as a reason to join. So everyone has a different one, and it was just one of those moments where it was like, all right, now or never, because you're getting old.
Yeah, I know. It's weird to say at 21 you're getting old.
Exactly.
But, no, I totally get that. So go in, you choose Navy out of all the other ones.
So I chose Navy because of the corpsman rating.
So you knew going in that is what you wanted to do.
Exactly. I wasn't going to settle for undesignated. I was recommended by a few friends not to do that. I looked at the Navy first because a dear friend of mine, Ryan, joined the Navy first before me. But I looked into the Navy because I sought out, honestly, the uniform at first.
Yeah. It does do wonders.
It does wonders for you. It really slims you. But my grandfather was a Marine. He spoke very highly of his corpsman. Docs this, doc that. And I decided that's what I want to do. I want to protect Marines. I just want to save lives. That's all I want to do. And you join at that point expecting this whole rigmarole of like, cool, I'll go to the Marines. I actually went to the Marine Corps recruiter first.
Yeah.
And I spoke to him and I was like, I want to be a corpsman, because I had no idea, just nothing. And he was like, well, we can get you qualified for ACLS and things like that. So ACLS, Advanced Combat Lifesavers course.
So is that a corpsman for the Marines?
So they were like, we can get you qualifications, we can get you to live tissue, we can get you to do these medical things. And I was like, no, I want to be a corpsman. And he's like, well, we can get you in the infantry, which will like lead you to these certifications. And I was like, am I in the wrong place?
I mean, you're a straightforward guy.
So
just tell me now if this is it. Yeah, so.
I was like, I need to know. And he was like, yeah, corpsmen in the Navy, they're right over there. I immediately left that office, took a right turn.
That never happens. They do, yeah. But if you knew what you wanted, and
I was lucky in that a good friend of mine who was a Marine knew him. Texted him real quick and said, hey, this guy's no bullshit trying to be a corpsman. He messed up. He's an idiot. And I still kick myself in the pants every day for that, because I should not have shut up like that. I should have done a little bit more research. I keep telling people, like, oh, I did so much research beforehand.
There's no way to research everything in the military either. Like, there's so many different jobs, not just the Navy, but like the Marines, the Air Force, everything. There's like, and I mean, that's one thing I wish I would have known better, is just like known what all the different jobs were exactly. The reasons I ended up my rate is because my recruiter was in aviation too. So guess what? Oh, you'll be great here. You're gonna love it. Okay, whatever.
You're just like me when I joined.
Yeah, and little 18-year-old me like didn't know any better and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
And that's basically it. I got fortunate. He pointed me in the right direction. I went in, told my recruiter, I want to be a corpsman. He was like, we don't have openings for corpsmen. And I was like, well then, bye. He was like, oh, wait. If you wait a little longer, maybe we'll get something. All of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I think I was in the DEP program for about 8 months.
Just waiting.
Yeah. They said I had to go to meetings. I had work because I was an adult, and I needed to pay bills.
Yep.
So I told them no. I went to my meetings, and then I depped out.
And
Went
what does DEP stand for?
I don't know. Everyone just used it, and it was a really cool word.
Delayed entry program. Did you know that? You knew that.
I didn't know that.
Did you really not know?
No. It's because people just kept saying like, "Oh yeah, you'll dep
dep.
out," and I was like, "Okay."
That's
I
why-
thought it was like it was short.
I thought
It was
you were
short for
joking
like
with me.
start your build. Like I don't know what they were saying.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that I could go over for days. I could tell people forever. So I'm a third class, obviously
Okay.
E4. So I promoted through testing, not through meritorious gain.
Started E1, right? Went through
I started E2.
the E2.
I was a
okay.
late bloomer.
Yeah, it's okay.
We'll get back
Well,
to that. Let's go back. So I depped out. I delayed entry programmed
There you
out.
go. Now you learned something new too. You're learning from this too.
This podcast is great. So I went through that program, pushed out into Chicago, Great Lakes.
Ooh, great mistakes.
Great mistakes.
Yeah.
We went out there for a little bit, obviously.
That's the only place people know that. That's the only place you go for boot camp now for the Navy. So.
Yeah. It's always. Oh no, it was also at.
It used to be in San Diego,
Diego.
and Florida, but then they closed them both. I think in the 90s.
Well, because Florida's gross. So.
Agreed.
If you have
Shit,
Florida
that was
listeners,
so
you'll be,
weird.
we love you guys. Keep listening. No.
So yeah, Great Lakes and boot camp. Two months.
2 months. 2 months. So once you get to boot camp, a lot of people know this. You are sometimes held over for about a week before your class starts, where they just mess with you.
Yeah, are you like in a division yet or anything?
No,
like that?
you're not even in a division. Like you're just with a group of people that might be in your division.
Just literally waiting.
They're just waiting, sitting there, and like you wake up every morning, you clean stuff, and you do this, that, and the other thing for them. And I think our biggest gimmick was we were a rowdy group to start with, and it was Petty Officer Duck. He had one of those little rubber duckies in dress whites, and he would hold it in his hand,
Oh my god.
and he was like, "You shall not address me. You shall address Petty Officer Duck." And going in there, so I could see kids 18 years old, 17 and a half with their parent signature, things
Yeah.
like that. Like they're in there with me and they're shaking in their boots. I'm looking at it. I'm like, this guy is making me yell at a duck.
What did I join?
Well, here goes everything. Because I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
You get all those people who say like, I'd punch him in the face.
Oh yeah. No.
He was a tough dude.
Yeah. That's the other thing is.
You get that a lot. But I did that for about, no less than 2 days. And then we pushed out straight into our division. Hang on. 246.
Oh, good job.
Division 246. And the only reason I remember that is because my buddy who was learning English at the time, in the Navy, in boot camp, we were teaching it to him at night.
You meet some wild characters, that's for sure.
I swear. And he would yell out. The only thing that he knew for sure was Hooyah 246.
Oh my gosh. And that's how you remember it though,
And I
huh?
was like, absolutely. That's my man.
That's good. So you're in boot camp, 8 weeks. Go through the new battle stations, right?
I'm not allowed to talk about battle stations. That's
No,
on
okay.
paperwork. If you want to go through battle stations, go through battle stations. Loads of fun.
Yeah, I went through the old school way when I went.
Yeah, So as
Yeah.
I heard it, it was more so of a cardio event.
You ran all over base, all over nights. For those that have no idea what we're talking about, you want to explain what battle stations is?
Oh God. So battle
I
stations.
guess the quick version.
Yeah. So the quick and easy of it is battle stations is testing your mettle as far as being on a ship. So it runs you through every section of like from rope tying to cabins filling with water to smoke to emergencies.
All historic events
all
that have
historic events that
happened.
have happened.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then, I mean, at the end of the day, you snap to. You wake up like I did from your little zombie mode, just pulling ammo crates from one side of a dock to another. But I digress. That's about all you're gonna get out of me. I don't know
Okay,
why I
fair
said
enough.
all
Hey,
that.
I don't know,
Yeah, I signed paperwork.
Yeah.
If for some reason the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy is hearing this, and I get in trouble, you're my first call.
Fair enough. Because when I went through it, it was we just ran all over base, did the things at buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like not the initiation, but you're kind of one of your final things you did in boot camp.
Right.
So
So as I understand too, there's an officer program out on the East Coast that does a similar thing to battle stations.
yeah,
I was looking at pictures of it, and they're showing pictures, so I can talk about this, right?
yeah. Hey,
It may or may not be similar to the battle stations I went through, but they were in a room that was vacuum sealed, and then there was water poured into it
That would be freaky.
about to your chest, and you had to figure out how to close it off, the leaks, and it was cold.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah.
It may or may not be the same thing as what I went through.
So a lot of people ask, like, was boot camp hard physically, more mentally?
So that's and they've revamped it since we've been through even.
Really?
Yeah. So
'Cause you've been in how long now?
I have been in 5.5 years, 5.5 good years.
5 good years.
I may or may not be re-enlisting by the end of this month. We find out. I'm actually due for orders tomorrow.
All right.
My detailer's supposed to email me. Wish me good luck, everyone.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
Hopefully we're going to
wish the
Virginia
best.
Beach or California,
All
whatever.
right. All right.
No, so oh god. So my boot camp experience was a little bit different than the ones that we're going through at my time. During my time, RDCs were a lot friendlier. RDC
Recruit division commanders.
recruit division commanders
Uh-huh.
were the RDCs.
Yeah.
So they were kind of the instructors, the higher, they're all first classes, which is E6, and chiefs, E7s. And then you had your officers who were over them. But in my class, it was an all-male one, and our brother div was all-male as well. And we were one of the only ones that were doing that at the time, because there were a lot of females that were integrated into the male.
Yeah, they do
ones.
half and half.
Yeah, they do have. It was like half female and half male on the other side. We got male, and we got into a lot of trouble, like hazing incident troubles already in the beginning. Like we were doing the hazing, not even the RDCs. So the way that they beat us, we would just be working out like constantly. So physically, I got more out of it, which was great. By the end of it, our punishments were reading books. They actually had us standing toes to the nose reading books because we got too strong. And like that's so.
There was no more physical punishment.
There was no more physical punishment. So more so mentally, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I think so. I mean.
All right. So moving on, you graduate boot camp.
Graduate boot camp. So I was lucky enough to have a.
You were already assigned.
Yes.
HM.
Yes. So HM. So hospitalman. For those of you who don't know, when you go in, if you don't go in with a specific job title, so I went in with a contract that said this guy's got to be a corpsman. Other people go into a contract. This guy has to be avionics, electronics, or whatever. And then there's people who are unfortunate enough to go in undesignated. It's not a trick. Some people do love being undesignated. It's a great time to figure out what job you do want. So when you're undesignated, what I mean by that is you'll most likely be on a ship and you'll be trying out different jobs.
Yeah.
So
usually getting the butt end of the job.
Yeah.
Too, right?
You'll go to the boatsman. You go with the boatsman's mates. You go with the. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of other ratings, and my brain is just.
It's all good.
It's the corpsman thing, I think. So you will go with the corpsman as well, and like you can test out and you can try to join their A schools. And what I'm talking about that is, once you graduate boot camp, you go to your A school. That is the normal pipeline. My A school, which is the first school you attend after your boot camp. I honestly don't think A stands for anything, so don't try to trick me on that.
I don't think it does either. I don't know. They just call it A school. They skip B school. It's called A and C school for all
There are
I know.
A and C schools, yeah. My A school was in Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio, which was a new one for the corpsman. Corpsman used to be at Chicago, Great Lakes. If there's an old head listening to this and you went to Parcheesi's, that's your own business, bud.
I remember the corpsman staying there when I was in too. And
So yeah, the corpsman would stay there. That's because they used to have it at Great Lakes across the street from where boot camp was.
Yes.
So I went to A school, Fort Sam Houston. That's a little bit longer of a school.
Yeah.
4 to 6 months we're looking at.
That's good long compared to the other ones.
Yeah, and then depending upon how long you're held. So your school's 4 to 6 months. I'll try to give you the abridged version of it. You go through, as a corpsman, you go through BLS course, which you can do in the civilian world, basic lifesaver course.
Oh, okay.
So it's just CPR, and this is how you use a defibrillator. And this is also how you tell somebody to call 911.
The basics.
The super basics. So you go through that, and then you go through other courses chopped into there. I'm not an instructor. I don't know what the in-between is, but there is nursing 1 and 2, which are courses that just run you through basic patient care. Once again, I was scrubbing people down, like my fellow classmates. I was scrubbing them down with like tissues and stuff. Like, this is what it's like to give someone a sponge bath. And I'm like, this is awful. You would pack wounds, and then you would work on your IV sticks and things like that. What they fail to mention when you leave boot camp is that you'll get to this other base, and you will be with the Air Force in your nursing courses, or at least in the beginning of your A school.
What, is it like the Air Force version of corpsman?
So there are Air Force instructors and corpsman instructors. There's Air Force medics. They're just called medics. They get a cool name, whatever. Yeah, it's fine.
That's what everyone knows, medic.
So, and then here's the thing. I'd rather be called a corpsman any day of the week because my job is diverse.
Oh.
Medic's just a medic. Corpsman's who you call for help.
What do you call the medic for? Or are they just the people in the hospital?
They're the people in the hospital. They're just... No, actually, I do have great respect for the 68 Whiskeys who are in the Army. I believe they're 68s. They're combat medics.
In the Army?
Yeah, in the Army.
Okay, so Army, Air Force, now.
Army, Air Force, and corpsman.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so that the Marine Corps does not have their own medical rating. They use the corpsman for that.
Yeah, the Marines are a Department of the Navy.
They are, and they will. We won't let them forget it, but they will not let us forget that they're the men's department.
Yes, that's the one I get all the time. Men's department.
And I'm like, that's great, man. You should get over here with that unisex clothes because these girls are great. So we went. We go to the A school, do nursing 1 and 2 with our fellow, I guess, medical technicians is the overall broad stroke term. The Air Force does their thing, and then we split up for the last month or 2, and that's basically medications and sticking people. So that's more of an us thing.
You do all this within 4 months?
4 to 6.
4 to 6, okay.
4 to 6. And then after that, depending upon your scores with the school, so if you're the top 10 people, top 5 people or whatever, you get to pick your orders based on that, whatever's available. They keep saying score high and you can pick orders. What they don't tell you is it's whatever's available.
Needs of the Navy, right?
Needs of the Navy.
Yep.
It will always be needs of the Navy.
Yeah, exactly.
So from that point, you can choose a C school. C school for corpsmen, I can speak on, or like neurology techs, respiratory technicians, PT techs, things like that, physical therapy techs. And that's specializing in a certain part of medicine for them. And that's great. That's cool. I remember hearing that and going, that's gross. I would like to go with the Marines, please.
So A school is the basic, right?
A school is the basic. So it's broad stroke medicine. It's this is Motrin. This is what it does to the body. Yep. This is how you put an IV in an arm.
And C school speaking is like a more specific.
Yes. So that goes from this is Motrin. This is what it does to the body, and then it goes into this is a brain, and this is how you hook up a machine to read brainwaves.
All right. Okay.
And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Not for me. And as that middle of the class, as you should shoot for always, I was able to select orders to 1st Marine Division.
Cool. That's what you kind of wanted.
It's what I wanted at the
right?
beginning. Yeah.
Like already.
So I got real excited. The first of the first. So 1st Marine Division, we were right aligned, first to foot. I was part of Alpha Company. Shout out to you guys, taught me lots. So from there, you get pushed out to your prospective division or wherever you're going. If you're going to C school, you're most likely staying in Fort Sam Houston for a while longer. Us, they were like, please get out of our base. Because I can remember.
You may leave now.
you may vacate the premises. And that whole thing stems from a long rivalry spelt with 3 V's because we can't spell. 3 V's, rivalry. Because the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy is on one base. And you could just imagine the crap that everyone gives each other. I don't know Army ranks. I didn't know Army ranks. Still don't know Army ranks. I feel like I can call
You don't need
everyone.
to. You just
I feel like I can call everyone sergeant and it'd be fine. We'll figure it out. We'll sort it out.
Yeah.
There's a tree line somewhere.
I need to put that poster. You get that poster everyone like once a year, right? That has all the ranks.
Yeah, all the ranks on there, and it's
yeah.
like, So, and that's the thing. So we got into a lot of trouble while we were in Fort Sam Houston. We got into more trouble than we were worth, my class, because of course, any class that you're in is the troublemaker class. I'm sure you had your own.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Every now and again.
Your shop, your unit, whatever it was, is whatever one you're in.
Even in school, for some reason, every time I went into a classroom, it was just full of jokers. And for one day, I would like to take a serious class or be in a serious course. It won't happen. It's fine. I understand the luck that I attract.
Yeah. You respect it, right?
I respect it. I do, because you got to respect the process at some point.
Yeah.
So we got in a bunch of trouble just because we didn't know.
Yeah.
I would have somebody yelling at me about putting headphones in my ears because I'm running the base or something like that. I was like, hey, you can't have more than one dang old headphone in here. I'm like, well, yeah, sorry about that. He's like, is that how you talk to something or other? And I'm like, apparently. And I apologize
To whoever.
to whoever I need to. This is my instructor's name. Go ahead and just email them. I'm sure they'll rip into me. And you would get your lashes like Mondays and things like that, and you would just early workouts or this, that, and the other thing, which is my favorite part of the Navy. I wake up at 5 a.m., wake up at 4 a.m., go for a run.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's quality life.
There you go.
So, but I digress from getting in trouble.
Yeah. Going back to that. Trouble. You're in the 111, whatever.
Yeah. So I'm at 1st Marine Division. They kicked me out to 1-1, Blue Diamond.
So when you're in a Marine Division, what does that mean? Like, are you with like you're no longer part of the like Navy? You're still in the Navy? Are you just like attached to a Marine unit, company?
Is this live? Because I wish. Is it not? You can't strike that. Okay. Well, that's fair. Yes. I'm still with the Navy. So what happens is you end up going to a battalion aid station or a regimental aid station, which is where the Marines go get their treatments, and then you meet your LPO, your leading petty officer, and your LCPO, leading chief petty officer.
There you go.
There you go. I'm learning. I'm remembering. You'll meet the people in charge of you, and you'll meet your coworkers essentially. Not necessarily your peers all the time, because you gotta have mentors.
Well, now you're talking about a lot of animosity, as there always is with every branch and branch. How do the Marines you work with feel about having a Navy guy as their, I guess doc, right?
Yeah. So I had to earn.
Go ahead.
I did. So I had to earn my Marines' respect. I mean, a lot of those guys had just gotten back their last tour in Iraq, I believe. But they had just gotten back, and they were like, who are you?
Yeah.
Your boots are still shiny.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those moments where it was like you're looking at them, and these are some hard dudes. And you're like, hey, I'm your new corpsman.
You're my first unit.
Because the other guy had to leave. And so that's the funny part about it. So they can immediately tell because you don't have your pin. And by your pin, I mean your warfare device. And a warfare device is something that you wear. I wear it over my heart because it means the most to me, and that's because the Navy told me to put it there. It signifies qualifications.
There you go.
There's surface warfare, air warfare, and these are just.
Depends on your job.
It depends on your job in the Navy.
Which one
yes.
you're going for. Yeah.
So, corpsmen get the special honor of getting the FMF pin. It's a Fleet Marine Force. So it's pretty cool. I mean, we test for it, and then we do loads of murder boards and boards, which is basically
you have to study for it. And
higher ups firing questions off at you.
Okay.
And a buddy if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Or just you.
Or on your own. Yeah.
We've all been staring at them, blank-faced, going, next question, please. Can I 50-50 that?
I don't know, but I'll get back to you on that one, right?
I'm going to use a lifeline. I'm going to phone a friend real quick. So you earn this pin, your FMF pin, and then that's when the respect comes in. Like, these guys are like, oh, okay, yeah.
He knows
so,
his stuff.
Yeah, if you go to a unit and you have an FMF pin, they're like, yeah, no, that's fine. It's just Doc Leahy over there. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was, oh, that's our new corpsman? What do you need? And it's like, I need to give you a shot. No. Shh. Dang it.
Tell them you said you did it, right?
Yeah, exactly. They'll say that, and then you have to be the bigger person. You have to be like, you have to come up with your own things. It's like one of those things where it's you have to stand up to the people around you at your workspace.
Yeah.
Almost like what is it? You have to beat up the toughest guy, the biggest, toughest guy in the prison, and then you can earn the respect.
Yeah.
I did not do that. I got my butt kicked more than once.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I earned respect by doing things like that. So you earn respect by doing things tradition-wise.
And real quick, the unit you're with, they're just like, I'm guessing, Marine infantry units?
I was with an infantry unit. So
okay. So that we know what they do and stuff.
So this is a wild part. And we've skipped an entire zone. Oh my goodness.
We can get back to it.
All right.
We're on no time limit.
We're on no time limit. I'm sorry how scattered this is. This is round 2. All right, people? Remember that.
Cheers.
I'll come back and I'll focus it up. I promise. I'm going to have a drink. So here goes my favorite explanation in the world of all of this. So you get out of A school, and for people who have chosen the Marine Division, you go to FMTB, Field Medical Training Battalion.
Okay.
It's gone through a lot of different names. FMSB, Field Medical Service Battalion, and then it's also gone through. It's one of those things in the Navy that always changes because nobody knows what to call it. But that's another school. Think of it as another boot camp. It's 2 months long, and your instructors are half Marine, half Navy, and you take tests every week, and you get physically run through the ringer. At least I did. It's changed a lot.
Hard physically too.
Yeah. So those courses are held in Camp Pendleton, California, and then Camp Lejeune, South Carolina. And generally, they'll put you where you're going to be. I got lucky. I did not go to South Carolina. I did not go to Camp Lejeune because that is swampy,
some
mosquitoes and gross.
Yeah.
Not fun. Nothing that my California skin could handle. Right? What do they call us? Hollywood corpsmen. And I 100% believe in that.
Oh yeah. I remember going boot camp. They call me Sunshine. Just the California boy.
Yeah, I got called Hollywood for a little bit, and then I was just like, yeah. Everyone's from Hollywood who's from California.
Yeah, everyone, right? They only knew.
Seriously, there's just so much more California. Explore. But yeah, so we went through the West Coast. I went through the West Coast version. Once again, 2 months. You're basically a student again. All over again. Re-roll back to wake up in the morning, work out, go to school, work out, go to school, go home, work out, go to bed. And then there's a couple field operations, which are just basically, here's 3 days in the field. Here's 2 days in the field. And the field is like the backyard of Pendleton. And you stay out there, you eat MREs, and you hang out with everybody and figure out how to do this job. So the best way to sum up field med, which is what I call it, is it's just an attachment. It's a learning attachment. It is your next course. How to treat wounds in the field. The basics. Mm-hmm. So full assessments on bodies, what you should be looking for, how to work in a group, things like that.
Yeah.
Which were great. Don't get me wrong. Loved it. Lots of fun. I do love good training.
Yeah. Who doesn't, right? Expanding the mind.
Exactly. And that was great, and that was fine. What the Navy did, and what is an amazing tool that they used after field med, was CTM, which is combat trauma management.
That's probably a big deal, huh?
It's like a 2-week course. It wasn't that long.
Okay.
But you went there, and it was a bunch of dudes teaching you how to really treat people. It went from broad brush strokes of like, yeah, this is pretty much how you fix a wound, this is how you fill out some paperwork, and this is how you do that, to this is how you fix a gunshot wound. This is how you fix a knife wound. This is what the chest looks like when it's exposed. And it was like those moments of just like, oh, shit, my job just became real.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause that's really what it's going to be, right?
Exactly. So like that was that was your main focus at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It was, okay, cool. So this is what I came for. Perfect. So combat trauma management was shortly after. Less time than field med. Arguably, I learned more in CTM, so combat trauma management, than I learned in field med and core school, A school, wrapped into one.
Yeah.
In way less time.
Yeah. 2 weeks versus a few months.
Yeah.
Right?
And those guys were just about it.
Yeah.
Because they were like, if you're going to an infantry unit, you're going to CTM.
This is what you're gonna do exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And then they were like, okay, we're pushing out only good product. If you're awful, we're going to call your command because we know them. Mm-hmm. And it never failed. Everybody knew everybody around there.
Yeah. It's not what you know till you know.
I had one of my instructors in CTM, so combat trauma management. He was one of my mentors from 1-1. Because you go from A school, I should explain this. You go from A school and then you go into, some people don't get rolled straight into field med or don't get rolled straight into combat trauma management. So I finished field med and then I got to my unit, which is 1st Marine Division. And I was like, cool, I got my camis. I wore woodlands and like desert camis and I was excited, ready to rock. My chief was like, we're sending you to CTM in about a month, 2 months. So just kind of get a feel for everything and write notes, medical notes, SOAP notes, SF600s is what we call them. And those are basically like writing, you interview the patient as far as what are you here for? Yeah. And then you have this whole like rigmarole of old carts is I think what it was. And it was like objective, subjective, and things like that. And you're writing down like active duty, petty officer, 2nd class. Yeah. 32 years old or whatever comes in for this, that, and the other thing. And then you write in like, he says this, that, and the other thing. And then you go down to your section. You're like, what I've noticed is this, that, and that. And then I've done this test or this test to see if pain or anything like that. And you're like, this is my view. This is what I think happened. And the doctor reads it, reviews it, says cool or not cool, and then writes his own plan. And then you turn the note in. I spent, every morning for 2 months doing that. Yeah. All morning. From like 8 to 11. And then from 11 to 1 o'clock at 1st Marine Division, it was time for lunch. But we gave you till from 11 to 1 o'clock. So if we don't see you in the gym, getting strong. Ooh. IPA? Yeah, you're just pulling out loads of prizes out of there.
Yeah, just come prepared.
So you went to the gym and you did your thing there, and that was loads of fun. And then you ate at the Chow Hall. One tubby. You go into there and you do your thing. But they sent me to CTM after I'd already been to 1-1. One of my mentors was up for orders, and he pushed out as an instructor to CTM. And he just he taught me some things here, basics, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'll never forget the day that he noticed that I was there. Because I was playing it safe, playing it right in the center, where you want to be. Yeah. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the slowest, but I was definitely picking up the heavy guys and moving them up hills. Uh-huh. And one day he had this course that he was teaching, and it was a certain bleed that I know none of the corpsmen around me knew about. But he took me aside when I was at 1-1 as a PSI, a student, and he taught me about that bleed. It's an inguinal bleed. It's one up.
You said bleed, right?
Yeah, bleed.
Bleed, okay.
He taught me about it, and it was up in the thighs, and you have to stick your fingers in there and get some gauze, roll it up, push it into the vein. You have to feel for it, and then you have to just stuff it with gauze. And he was teaching that course, and he had a guy on the ground laying down, and he was like, "So this is a certain kind of bleed, this, that, and the other thing." He was like, what's it called? Does anyone know about it? I was like, "Oh, it's an inguinal bleed. You got to ball up the gauze and push it in there." And he was like, without even looking, he was like, "Leahy." And I was like, damn it. I messed up my own rule. Yeah. I don't know if I was still drunk or what happened, but I messed up my own rule of roll in the middle. And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to take care of you. No. Welcome to the course." So from that moment on, I was picking up the heavier guys, and then moving twice the load, unfortunately. Yeah. That was a good time, though. CTM is one of the greatest training tools for a corpsman. Okay. I feel. and I love my rate. So.
Yeah. So not to jump subject. So like,
No, please.
you're a corpsman. You're obviously in this path of sticking and staying with the Marine division and going in that route and stuff. Now there are plenty of other corpsman like I mean you're always they
Boats.
could be in hospital boats, other places and stuff like that.
So here's the great part too. My next set of orders after 1st Marine Division were I'm just pouring myself a drink. I hope you guys don't hear that. It's on the right.
All right, cool. Need more ice?
I do. It was the hospital, Naval Hospital, Camp Pendleton. So I went from working with the Marines for about 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And then rolled straight into the hospital to do other corpsman duties. So corpsmen have a broad variety. Every rate in the Navy has a broad variety of what they can do, what their courses teach, what their abilities are, things like that. And I think that's the greatest part about it, that you can select your path.
Yeah, that's true. There's so many options.
Which is wild. I hope you have more people from the Navy on here as far as like explaining what they do.
Yeah.
Because at this point, like...
See, this thing is, my goal is for this is not have repeats of people, but you're right, when it's something like, whether it's Navy or military, like even like lawyers, there's different types of lawyers and stuff, you know, that do different things and stuff. I have a cousin who's one, does not do anything like in the court system that you think though anymore because of her job.
Right.
But same thing with the military. There's one who's people work on aircraft, people who work on the ship only, the engine people, the corpsmen. Like,
exactly, and that's the wildest part about the Navy. It's like, yeah, I know what to call you. You call me HM3 Leahy, right? Like, because that's my whatever. Cool. Do you know what I specialize in?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So, like, you have no idea what to ask me about. Like, I've had people come up to me and say, like, hey, Doc, what's a good one? A recent one. Let's go with a recent one. Okay, so I got a guy come in. He's got a 3rd grade PCL tear, which is a tear in a ligament behind your knee, essentially. And the 3rd grade just like, it's just completely gone. It's dangling in the back there. And he's like, look what I can do. And he's just shifting the knee back. And like, I had no idea why that's happening. So I'm on Google figuring out like what I'm supposed to do about that. Like, so, I mean, at the end of the day, our job is so anamorphic or dependent on the fact that we have this knowledge base everywhere.
Yeah.
I can check books, I can check Google, I can check this and the other thing. But at the same time, like, I don't specialize in much. Going through field med, you pick up 8404, which is NEC rating for the Navy. It's to let you know what this person can do when you're giving out orders, essentially, as far as I'm concerned. I wasn't a detailer. I know somebody who was, and they could tell me more about it. And then, but before that, you're a Quad 0. Quad 0 is 000. It's General Duty Corpsman, and that's basically everything. So you can be put anywhere at any time because the Navy wants you there. Yeah. And you could probably pull the job off.
Just you'll figure it out eventually.
A lot of my job has been like, hey, feel it out. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Fly by the seat of your pants. You know how to.
So okay, going back to the Marine Division though.
Okay.
You were ever like, so obviously you're attached to them. So when they go to combat in wherever,
right,
you go with them.
Right.
Where are some of the places you've been with them?
So I joined in that unfortunate zone where I didn't get to go to anywhere in a combat zone. I regret not joining sooner. No?
It's just timing?
Timing. That was all it was. If I had joined when I initially intended to at 19, 18, I'd have seen 3 tours and I would have had a great time. I'd probably still be in the Navy re-enlisting out the butt.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Some of us want war, some of us want peace. It is what it is. College is great, but I love being with the Marines. Yeah. So, yes, corpsmen do follow the Marines out anywhere that they go. Every single field off that they go on.
So you're there, you're holding a gun just like them.
They're holding a gun. I stacked up with them. Like, we did building clearing exercises and things like that. So I was with 1st Marine Division. They had a rotation out to Okinawa, Japan. So we pushed out to Okinawa, Japan for 6 months. more so of a vacation than anything else. We
You
had
gotta take advantage of it, right?
right, and I did. That was the
Good,
thing. Like,
good.
what people around me were extremely upset that they didn't get to combat it, they didn't go to this, that, and the other thing. But all I could think about was, I'm in Japan now.
Yeah. When else are you gonna be in Japan?
I don't have a passport. Like, never, probably, because that's $100, $150 down the drain.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just shot straight out to Japan, free flight.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. See? Yeah. People, do you travel much? Oh,
I just went to
I got
Japan
paid to
real
travel,
quick.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I went to Japan with this open mind of like, let's go, let's do these things. The op tempo, the training tempo for us, operations tempo, was nuts.
Yeah.
So we pushed out constantly. We would do field ops it's called Jungle Warfare Training Center, which is where you just learn how to survive in the jungle.
Yeah.
Land navigation, how to eat, how to make beds, how to cook food without
Like
the
with
enemy
palm
knowing.
fronds and stuff like that.
But the whole thing is like, make sure the enemy doesn't see you. And I'm like, I don't think the enemy's here anymore.
Charlie's not here.
Chill. So we would go to these places and we'd do that. We would do jungle warfare training, and I would go and I've peed on a habu snake. How many people can say that?
Wow. What's a habu snake?
A habu snake is the most deadly snake in the world to me, personally.
Yeah, I like that. It's all about perspective, right? It's perspective.
I'm not a huge fan of snakes. I hate putting that out there for people to know, but I'm not. The habu snake is extremely venomous. There's several different types. If one of the less venomous ones bite you, it's just regular habu, bites you, you get the anti-venom, and it won't work on you ever again, so you can't travel to Japan ever again with the military.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
The
that's-
golden habu, which is like a tree habu, they chill up in the trees, which is great.
Hence
Thanks.
tree habu.
Death from above. Appreciate that, boys. Those guys, one bite, you're done. You basically get a phone call. There were salamanders out there that if the oil got on your skin, it would just burn straight through. It's one of those things where you're just like...
It's like an engineered animal almost kind of.
Exactly. And a lot of people... So anyone who's been to Japan will know that there's a pup out there. I don't remember his name. It's a brown lab. I'm going to kick myself. If you get into iTunes and you get comments about this, everyone's going to correct me and kick the shit out of me for this. I don't remember his name. There is a brown lab. I will not try. But this lab was so old, and he would just eat.
You're saying lab like a Labrador.
Labrador.
Like a dog. Okay.
I kid you not.
Okay,
A
just wanna make
Labrador,
sure.
a dog, is eating these newts that are poisonous to us, would kill us.
Yeah.
And is like getting bit by several habus a day and just chilling.
Immune to it all.
Nobody's helping him. Nobody's giving him anti-venoms. We're just feeding him food, regular food, and he's just chilling. And he walks through the forest like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Bear. I think it's bear.
Okay. Bear. Bear's the crazy lab.
If
huh?
I'm wrong, don't be too mean. But like he would just eat these things, and you're just like, wow, you're crazy. But like so I went to Jungle Warfare Training Center, learned how to rappel from a rock wall, learned how to live out in the jungle for a bit, learned land navigation, learned that you can pee on a habu for about 5 seconds before it gets pissed off.
For 5 seconds is a long time.
5 seconds is a long time. I was a long pee. To be fair, I had just woken up. I was going on watch, and it was about 2 a.m. And I just shambled out to this zone where there was a log, and I was like, cool, feet on the log, right? Not like on the log, but in front of the log. Nothing will get me. That's how my sleep brain works.
Mm-hmm.
Not properly, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm just peeing over the log, and then I'm like, this is nice. And I just... And it's, whoa! So you're slowly backing away. I can't stop peeing. And I'm just like backing up peeing. And I'm hoping he doesn't come at me. Because personally, I don't think I'd survive that long.
Yeah.
All right? I get pretty excited when things happen to me. The blood flows quick, venom goes in.
So, all right. If I remember properly, didn't you drink the blood of some snake?
I drank the blood of a cobra. So I did do that. So in my time in Japan, so we spent.
This is still Japan when you did this.
So this is the fun part about that.
For how long were you in Japan?
My deployment was 6 months to Japan, Okinawa, Japan. However, I went to both mainland Japan. I went to the base camp at Mount Fuji, which is beautiful. If you ever get a chance to, go ahead and climb Mount Fuji. It's great.
Cool.
And then I went to Thailand. I don't know why I went to Thailand,
This is where they sent you, right?
but I went to Thailand with the Navy. And so 2 things about that journey. Going from Okinawa to mainland Japan, you take an HSV, which for people who aren't familiar with that,
good.
is a high-speed vessel.
So a high speed like power boat.
It's a boat
It's a boat
that moves real quick over big bodies of water.
All right.
Not quick enough. I don't get seasick. A lot of my guys did. We brought a lot of medications. They took as much as they could. At one point, the sea was so choppy, so turny, that the boat would shift on its side, and you could see into the water.
Like
It
just
was-
looking to the side.
You would look at the window, the porthole,
Yeah.
and you would just see black ocean, and you'd be
It's
like,
just
"Well,
underwater, huh?"
here it goes. I'm dying." That was one night we were going to bed because we were going to wake up in Japan, and
you're expected to sleep on that?
yeah, oh yeah, you're expected to sleep on it. You don't have to, but it'd be nice to because you're training as soon as you get there. One of my buddies, I think it was J Rock. He looked over at one of my Marines and he turned over to me and he was like, "Well, Doc, good night. Hope to see you in the morning." And I was like, "Damn."
Yeah. It just got real.
That was our reality at that point because the sea was just so choppy, and it was like, if this is the hardest part of the night,
Yeah.
so be it.
Yeah.
There was puke everywhere.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, woke up to just puke everywhere. Luckily, none of it hit me. We made it to mainland Japan, went to Mount Fuji, did ops over there, training and things like that. The Suicide Force is over there, ran through it. Great time. Don't do it. I don't recommend that. And then we pushed out to Thailand for about a month. I believe it's the month of February because I remember making a post. Yeah, this is how like in there I was. I was able to make a post on Instagram at some point
Mm-hmm.
with a flower, and I was like, "Happy Valentine's Day," and I just looked haggard. And I was like, "Oh, this will be all right." We went to Thailand and we trained with the Rock Marines, I believe. And we trained them in building clearing, things like that, because they were pushing out to do deployment, I believe, in the Philippines.
Okay.
I don't remember correctly. I know the Philippines is a large hotbed for ISIS and things of that nature,
Yeah.
which is a weird thing to say,
Yeah.
but they are.
Yeah.
It's
everywhere.
So we were there training them with building clearing, how to assess casualties, things like that. I was teaching them medical, and then we were doing our own little dog and pony show because, you know, every time you go somewhere, the higher ups want to show how cool you are.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So you just do your thing. You get real pretty and you do your thing.
Yep. Yep.
So we went out there and we did our thing, essentially. But at one point, they all pulled us aside and said, like, all right, it's like their like version of the special recon Marines. Their recon Marines came out and said, they want to put a show on for you. And we're like, okay, cool, whatever. So we sat in a big circle, and they just let 3 cobras out in the circle, and we're just like, fudge. I was sitting there, and like, all that could run through my head at that moment was, I don't know how to save them.
Because you're the one that looked to.
I was like, tourniquets. There's an Australian wrapping method I can go into later, and then there's
just chop their leg off.
yeah,
or
exactly.
something
At
like
that point, it's like, well, I hope there's a hospital nearby. Transport's gonna be a pain in the ass. So we had 3 cobras out just chilling, and then this dude was just an animal about it, grabbing them by the tail, patting them in the back of the head, and I was like, "What are you?"
Wait, this is an American.
No, this is a Rock Marine. This is a recon Marine, one of the instructors.
Oh.
And he was just going buck wild on these cobras. And which is a great thing to say, but he just grabbed one of them, like caged the other ones, like by himself with his bare hands. And then he just lopped its head off and started pouring blood into our mouths. And I mean, when you're in the moment,
You just kind of just
and you
accept
just
it, I
see
guess.
with a guy with the snake's head cut off, like looking at you going, huh? And you open your mouth and you look up and you hope that it tastes good. It's very coppery. It's like putting pennies in your mouth. It's blood.
Yeah.
It's whatever. I did drink cobra's blood, yeah. Really, really lucky that none of us got bit because we got pretty close.
Yeah. Imagine. Wow. That's how it did. I didn't know that part of the story.
So like that's our version of like cool like initiation things. Like every time someone goes to Thailand, you get an opportunity to do that essentially.
Mm-hmm.
At some point or another. Not everyone gets the blood. I was fortunate enough to get the blood and get a picture of it.
Yeah.
So had a good time, and then got the heck out of there because those guys are crazy. That was good. Thailand was great. Drinking Cobra blood was great. And that's the cool part about being in the Navy is you do all this training, you work your butt off, and then at some point they say, "All right, here's 3 days R&R. Go to the hotel, have a good time."
Yeah.
Here's the rules.
Yeah. There you go. There's always the rules and stuff. So
don't go anywhere we not allowing you to go, and of course we all go. And
you might as well just say, don't. It says don't go here. Might as well just say go here.
It might as well. What they should say is just be back by 10:30.
Yeah.
It's like all you have to ask.
Don't die.
We probably won't make the timeline, but you know what? We'll try. We'll think about you.
Get over there.
Oh, I'm great.
Good.
But Thailand was solid. There was a moment I had which made me think about this. In Jungle Warfare, I had one of my Marines, Zach. He came up to me and he looked at me. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I had just gotten off of my shift of watch.
Mm-hmm.
I was just sitting there staring out into the jungle. Had no idea what I was looking at. No big deal. It was pitch black, triple canopy, or no, not triple canopy, but it was pitch black, and NVGs didn't work very well, so I'm gonna say triple canopy.
So you had NVG or Navy or sorry,
night vision goggles.
Night vision goggles.
You're too ingrained. You got blue and gold coming out
Oh,
of you, bud.
Jeez, man.
Hoo-yah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah, we had NVGs, night vision goggles, so nods, but we only had one of them, so it's a single monocle type. And you would just bring it down from your Kevlar, your helmet. For one eye. And you would just like stare out that. But what it works off of is the light, because it works off of tritium.
Yeah, the littlest bit of light, right?
Illuminates in the moonlight. If it breaks, I have iron sights. I remember that song. But the tritium would go into that, and you would be able to see all sorts of good stuff. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The tritium song is about RCOs. I apologize. Tritium is on RCOs. I'm not an idiot, I promise. An RCO is a reticle. It's an ACOG scope. It's fine. But the MVGs work off a little bit of light.
Yeah.
We had no light out there. So I don't know what they wanted me to see.
Yeah.
But I didn't see anything.
Those things are expensive, too.
Yeah. And we lost 0 sets.
Wow.
Yeah, which is honestly one of the most impressive things we've ever done.
It's really just dangling on your helmet, right?
Yeah, it is. It's there. And then when you don't have it there, you have it inside of a pouch pocket on your flak or on your belt, your war belt. And you would, I kept mine in my pocket, in my pant pocket, because I wanted to be able to touch it, physically touch it, and say,
like your
there
wallet,
it is.
like your wallet, like you always gotta do the check.
I would
right?
always look and be like, all right, hey, it's there.
It's there, yeah.
It was no longer a wallet key. Is it keys, wallet, watch, nuts? It was like it was nods.
Nods.
I had to have my nods on me because if I lost those, it'd be awful. But I had one of my Marines. I just got off a watch. It was like 1 or 2 in the morning. Zach come up to me with one of my staff sergeants, and he came up and he was like, "Doc, what's going on, bud? What do you need?" And he's like, "I got bit."
Oh God.
He looked at me and he pointed underneath his eye and there was this little tiny red spot and I'm like, "Yeah, that's a bug bite." And he's like, "I know, but I don't know what kind of bug." And I'm like, "Okay, how's it feel?" "Good." "Is it itchy?" "Yeah." "Here's some cream. Go to bed before I smack you." And I had like, even my staff sergeant was like, "But what if it's like one of those poisonous spiders? This and the other thing. Like, should we medevac him?" And dead in the eyes. I'm exhausted, and I'm like, "Absolutely not. If it's his time to go, it's his time to go." Because at that point, you make those calls at that point as the corpsman, like, and they have to trust your judgment. They don't have to. They choose to. And I just looked at him like, no.
Yeah.
He's not gonna. That is clearly like, just like a gnat bit him in the face.
Yeah.
Cool. That's fine.
Little house fly or horse fly or something like that.
Which is some of the things that you deal with, like on the day to day.
Yeah.
So, and that's like one of those things where you have to triage, which is a French word for sort, which I remember from school.
There you go. Still there then. That's good.
Everything is still there. So that's the great part about all the training that we did. It's so ingrained in our memories and in our brains that I could do it in my sleep.
There you go. That's what it is. Repetition and just doing it again and again and getting to know it by that way.
I had the opportunity. I call it an opportunity. I was forced to go to Bridgeport, California, and do mountain warfare training. So we went to jungle warfare.
Is that in Pendleton?
No, Bridgeport, California. It's
Right,
about
I don't even know where
50
that is.
miles out of Yosemite.
Oh, up north.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do
Is this with the Marine or is this out
With
of your-
Marines.
Okay.
it was a great opportunity that I got to do.
There you go.
We did mountain climbing.
Yeah.
It was about a month's worth to 2 months worth of just.
So there's a lot of cool opportunities of like training. We'll say that you were given.
You said this earlier on in the podcast. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not looking at that thing and going like, I'm gonna learn a lot, or if you don't look at it and go, this is gonna be one of the greatest experiences of my life, then you're going to have a bad time. You're gonna go into the black, which is where we say the zone is, where you're just staring off into the distance, hate your life, this, that, the other thing. You're gonna fail.
Mm-hmm.
As a corpsman, if you're going into this rate, if you want to go into this rate, I highly recommend it. As far as the Navy goes, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go into that rate, these guys look at you and go, okay, Doc's good. I can be good.
Yeah.
Because you have to do better than them.
Yeah.
In every aspect.
The second you go to
Yeah.
crap, then it's
Yeah. The second you go black is the second, like, everyone goes, oh no.
no, we're all gonna die.
Somebody fed the gremlins after midnight. It is rough. But
all right, so you got the cool training, you did all that in Japan with the Marines. Where you still there now? Where are you at now?
So currently I am at the Naval Hospital over on Camp Pendleton, a little south of here, just a little.
Yeah.
Working. Oh gosh, I'm working. Officially, I work in the internal medicine clinic, which is working generally with older patients. Just general medicine, checkups, things here and there. I mostly do vitals. You do the vitals, and if you have a really good doctor, they'll let you do the assessments.
It's a lot different from your Marine experience, to put it that way.
It is, and it pains me to say this because it's not the job I wanted.
Yeah.
And that's one of those other things.
But
like you gotta
needs the Navy, right?
needs the Navy. So the Navy wanted me to do this. I'm gonna learn everything I can from it, and I'm gonna take this time and become a better corpsman.
Yeah.
First, I'm gonna become a better sailor. Second, I'm gonna become a better person. Third. And
that's a good order, I feel like.
That's honestly how you have to look at it in order to succeed in the rating that I'm in. Some people put sailor first. I can't. I'm sorry. I mean, my mustache alone says no.
I can see it. Out of regs already.
I'm pushing some limits here, and then my haircut.
Regs of that.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's I love being a sailor. There's nothing I love more. There isn't, other than being a corpsman. Sorry. I am a corpsman first, and we are not always seen as part of the Navy, but we love it. It's part of the business.
It's one. Let's put it this way: one everyone goes to. Just like you go to your doctor when something's wrong.
Yeah.
Go to the corpsman. Hey, I got this weird feeling, or something like that. What can I do? what can you do for me?
No matter where you're at in the Navy, at some point or another, you will sit in front of a corpsman and go, "This hurts."
Yes. Exactly.
And it's one of those. So at the hospital, once you get orders to the hospital, once you get orders to any hospital, you'll sit there and you'll do general admin work, as far as you'll type into systems like, this is what the patient's coming for and this is what we see, blah blah blah, this is the medications they're on. So you're doing a lot more of general hospital work as opposed to field medicine. It's actual medicine. I hate to say that, because at that point it's the doctor takes care of majority of it. You're there for vitals and to make sure that the patient doesn't punch the doctor in the face. And that's as simple as it gets at the lower ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to E5, E6, E7, so that's HM2, HM1, and HMC.
The ranks
chief.
in the Navy.
So what? Yeah. So the ranks in the Navy. Once you get higher up there, that becomes more admin, and that becomes more like you're looking out for your sailors. You're saying like, what do you need? What do you want to do? Do you want to go to a school? Let's put in a package for that. Do you want to do extracurriculars? Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to do this thing? Other thing? Let's get it going.
Yeah.
Do you want to do school? Do school. Anybody who's going to join the Navy needs to do school, regardless. You think you're getting out of school? Do school.
I know you. Yeah. And everyone thinks you go in the Navy and you go straight to just wherever you need to be.
Living your dream.
Yeah. No. It's
No. Do school. You have a million opportunities.
Yeah. So what's next for you then? Let's put it that way.
I'm taking a bit of my own advice. I'm going to school.
And anything you don't want to say, you don't have to, by the way.
No, I feel like this is the forum to say it.
All right.
No, I'm going to school. I'm taking my own advice. Need to do things like that. I need to get out there and go prepare for whatever's next.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, and this is the ideal plan, I go to school. I finish my bachelor's by 2020, and then I put it in a package, become an officer.
Good.
I go to the dark side, as it were.
Yes. True, but hey, the officers they got
a couple bucks in their pocket.
Yeah.
They're doing okay.
Yeah,
a lot of them will say no.
Navy will pay for it too.
Exactly, and the Navy will pay for my school, and the Navy will pay for transition me and everything like that.
I mean, how cool is that? I mean, so many people go to school and then they're in debt for so long and stuff like that, and here you are making money, going to school basically, and
That to me, that's the dream right there. I mean, obviously you have to serve for it a little bit, and you have to sign away a couple years.
if it's worth a few years, I mean, we live long enough in life where a few years is not that bad. So
can you put a price on just being stable later on?
Exactly,
It's one of those things. Like, I'm already going to be in debt a house at some point.
Yeah,
I'm already going to be in debt a ring at some point. Like,
it's true. It's very simple to say, but it's true.
Exactly, and it's like I would rather cut down my debts as much as possible. So ideally, my plan is to become an officer.
Yeah, and you want people to say, I know people I work with and stuff like, oh, I thought about, but they don't make much money. But there's so much incentive. There's so many extra money ways we'll say that you make it, from like basic housing allowance to the pays for school to when you're over across seas, you're getting more money for that. Right?
Exactly, and if you're married, you're getting separations pay. You're getting like all of this extra money, and you're getting hazard pay for being in dangerous places. I was of the impression early on in my Navy career, like many people, that the Navy doesn't care about me.
Mm-hmm.
I care about me, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
The Navy cares about you. You just got to reach out to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
use your
have to.
resources,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. You have to apply to school. You have to do this. You can't rely on everyone to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to roll up in your lap. It's not. Work your butt off.
Yeah.
Try to get something going. But yeah, I mean, that's the ideal plan. Become an officer. Short term, I'd like orders to Virginia Beach. Go become part of the Rivron community, which is fast boats.
Mm-hmm.
It's little boats just protecting the coasts.
So real quick, for those that don't know, what's the difference between being enlisted and officer? I mean, I know
$100.
it. Yeah. Besides the money difference and stuff.
It's schooling. I mean, what it boils down to, I believe, a lot of guys will join into OCS programs or officer programs, get their bachelor's degree, which the Navy pays for, but you have to obligate 8 years. You have to obligate 10 years of your life to the Navy. So your general officer gets paid much more than it. Okay, so what I think I worked it out one day. It was like your 01, 02 makes about E7 pay.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes.
It also depends how long you've been
Exactly.
in as well too. There's a bit of factors. And
Exactly,
stuff, so.
and it takes about 8 to 12 years to get chief in
Mm-hmm.
general.
Yeah.
On a fast track. That's fast.
That's a pretty fast track. I mean,
I've known guys who made it in 8 years.
I think the soonest I knew a guy made it in 9 years, made chief.
That's nuts. So, and just by that reaction alone, people will know like that's not what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You have to be forcibly working at that.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an officer, just beginning, you're making that E7 pay.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got 12 years worth of workup for that point.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a little bit of a burp.
You can burp.
You have and it's, God, the uniforms changed, service uniforms, things like that. But the biggest thing I think is,
Wait, did you have utilities ever?
which ones?
Utilities, like the
The dungarees?
the ones in between, where they looked like the dungarees, but they're the blue pants, the mailman uniform. You had to iron. Did you ever have that? I don't even know.
No,
Okay. Never
no.
mind.
I went straight to blue camis. I had blue camis. I had a jumper, and then I had like my the jumper was the paint suit.
Yes. Okay.
That's
All
what
right.
we'll
Sorry.
call it.
Continue.
And sorry about that.
Me going off on a tangent too. So.
It's because those moments if you're just like, how long have you been?
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. So.
No, the biggest thing as far as officers go, and honestly, I can't speak on that because I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
But it is work beforehand.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of officers out there who are what we call Mustangs, and they're guys who were enlisted previously, so just joined out of high school and said, I want to do this, went to college while they were in, finished their bachelor's, switched over to officer, and said, this is where I want to make the difference.
That's what you want to do.
Exactly, and that's what I'd like to do. Just as far as I think that I can help people along on their career.
Mm-hmm.
At the point that I'm in, I have mentees. I have people under me who are just like, what should I do here? What should I do here? And it's scary to think that these guys are making decisions based on your opinion.
Yeah, and you'd be more of an influencer as an officer, though.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is the idea. I'd like to help these people along because I don't know. Someone's got to be there for the pups.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's true. They gotta be
And that-
fed.
They gotta be fed, and you
gotta
gotta
be
take them out.
trained.
Exactly, and that's what you have to do, and you have to make a conscious decision for that. And I think I love being a mentor. I love being over these guys. I love being able to say like, you have a great opportunity in front of you. Take it.
Mm-hmm.
Do that.
You've had your time in, so you already know. And sometimes all it takes is just experience to know that, right?
Yeah, and exactly. And I will be straight with you, and I've always been straight with people. I have told several people like the Navy's not for you.
Yeah. I totally agree. There are some people the military's for, and there are some people the military's definitely not for and stuff. So I mean, being one too, I totally agree with you on that. So
Yeah, you're at that moment where you're just like you're not making that decision for that person. You're letting them know like, you trust me. This isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
Do something great with your life.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah.
And that's always been the mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like to train people at a certain
man.
point. But short-term goal. Also, if I don't get the orders I like, or if I don't get to a place I like, obviously stay in the reserves. It's a great program. Finish school. Come back as an active duty officer.
There you go. You got that GI program.
Exactly.
GI Bill, which is
GI Bill, which is
pays all school more than enough for rent.
more than enough. Yeah, it'll pay you to at least your bachelor's,
Oh, easily.
depending upon what you're trying to get and how much school you already have done.
Yeah.
If you want a master's program, I recommend you stay in the military. Just
It's true.
get them to
Come
pay
out
for
debt
it.
free, actually. So to be honest, so
And that's the best part about it, and that's the part that people don't look at the most because you're so focused on what's in front of you.
no, it's like I think you said it best. It was like you may not think the Navy's looking out for you, but you got to kind of look out and
You have to reach for it.
You have to reach for it, and the Navy will be there.
Yeah.
But you have to go for it though and stuff. So
Exactly, and that's the best advice I've given to anybody ever.
oh, cool.
It's the Navy will always be there for you,
Yeah.
even though you hate it sometimes. I hate it sometimes.
Anyone hates their job, you know. It's like anything, I guess. But I mean, well, maybe the Navy's a little different, but
I don't know. A job before the Navy has never made me hike 9 miles with a 90-pound pack
all
on
right,
my
yes.
back
And in that case, the Navy
just for fun.
military is a little different then. But yeah. So well, cool, man.
Yeah, man. That's the very basics of being a corpsman.
There you go. Hey, that's what we wanted to hear here. So there's a corpsman in a nutshell, huh? At least your route. The thing is, if I were to talk to another corpsman, it might be a completely different story, huh?
And that's the complete truth. Anybody else could give you 100 different scenarios.
Has have you ever been? I mean, people think Navy, they think ships and stuff.
I've never been on a ship.
See?
Day in my life. High-speed vessel was the closest thing I came to it. I also went to the museum in San Diego.
Oh.
But aside from that, never touched a ship. Never thought about it. Never thought of it as an option.
Yeah.
That's how ingrained in this side of the Navy that I am.
Yeah.
Where it's like, a ship is the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
I will go to a Marine unit before I go to a ship ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Won't touch one.
I know there are people that think the exact opposite. They're like, oh, just keep me on the ship. I have at least my space, that my little office. Don't put me in the jungle or whatever, Like, I can't handle that. So it's like, perspective.
Pick me up tomorrow, send me out to the middle of the mountains, and just say, here you go, bud.
Yeah.
And I'll be fine. Living my dream.
There you go.
I can't do it. I don't know how anyone can do a ship. Can I say that?
Yeah. Hey, free to speak your will.
I'll speak my will all day. Unfortunately, it becomes this point where people are like, well, that's just a ridiculous idea. That's a narrow-minded sailor. I don't like ships. I don't like the idea of it. All right? I would love to fly out to places. I was a part of a helo company. Alpha company was helo. We flew in helicopters all the time.
So you're in helicopters. I didn't know that.
All the time. Yeah. No, you did know that. We talked about this.
Did we?
We went, if anyone ever finds themselves in San Clemente.
Wait, San Clemente or San Clemente Island?
No, San Clemente.
Okay.
San Clemente. Down south.
Down south. Okay.
In California, what you want to do is you go to Hoppa J's on a Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. It's delicious. I did that.
Is that where you took me?
I took you there.
That's right. Okay.
It's so good.
It was good. It was very good.
Went there with Ryan to discuss my time so far in the Navy. It was, 3 years in? So it's like a year, 2 years ago? 2 years ago? 2 years ago? It was a long time ago.
Crazy, man.
I have that picture somewhere. But we went there, and my first thing that I said to Ryan before saying, hi, how's your life, was, I hate aircrafts and how they're so shoddily put together. That was it. I was like, there's been oils dripping on me. There's all this stuff. And I'm like, that can't be right. There's panels missing in my Ospreys.
Yes. So he's saying this because when I was in the Navy, I worked on helicopters and stuff. And you're right. Sometimes you just kind of got to get things together real quick to make sure they're flying, they're ready for their next mission. Even if it's not, maybe the proper way or the best way. If that thing is working and flying and doing what it needs to do, then you're good to go.
What I feel like happened, though, in the process, and go ahead and correct me, was you as an engineer would go up and be like, all right, how far is the mission? They're like, oh, it's about 15 miles there, 15 miles back for the helo. And you're like, 30 miles. This will last about 32 miles. I'll be right. We'll be okay. Just don't take any detours. Tell the pilot to just go straight and back. And that was the process, because there was panels missing, electric wires coming out, and I'm like,
we're still working on it.
I have sweat on that.
Just don't look at it.
I'm pretty sure my Camelback broke on plenty of them, and they just turned around and said, I didn't even get seatbelts most of the time.
Yeah. Well, I know the unit I actually was in is completely different from when I was in.
Top notch.
Top notch and stuff. So, but yeah. So, yeah. That's your time in the Navy, huh? So far.
Yeah, so far so good.
So, plan on doing 20 years? We'll kind of play that one as ear.
I would like to do 20 years regardless, reserve or otherwise.
Okay.
Ideally, I would do it active.
Yeah.
And I would do about 3 more. Actually, what is it, 2018 now?
Yeah.
Damn near 2019.
Almost in 2019.
Damn.
Yeah. Where's time go?
Ideally, around 2020, I'd like to shift over, and then I would like to finish off the next 14 years, 13 years as an officer. But I would love to retire out of the Navy.
I think that's a good goal.
Because I think it's always been there for me, and I think it's something that I can look forward to.
Well, cool. Well, normally, I think you're starting to wrap this up now and stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
but normally ask about, I give the 3 sections of what your pay is. It's under 50,000 a year, just to give an idea for everyone listening and stuff. B is between 50 and 100, and C is over 100,000. But for you, I know this one.
Yeah.
You go on Google, you type in military pay, not even Navy.
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
Marines, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard. It's all right there.
Yeah,
It's
which
just
is
easy,
the most
so.
fun part is you could type in Navy pay E4, that's me, and then you say with 5 year service or with 3 year service because
Yeah.
it bumps up a
It
little
does
bit, like
change
$50
a little. You're right.
or something.
Your time in service does. a little bit.
But yeah, that and then you'll get my exact numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you'd like to do my taxes for me, go ahead and get a hold of me.
He's on the look for one. But yeah. But then, like you said, there's all those incentives though too that they don't express on. That's just the basic pay.
There
like
is
the
currently, and correct me if I'm wrong, people of the internet, a sign-on bonus for corpsmen.
at the moment.
Yeah, which I didn't get.
It's all about timing, right? Timing.
I'm not even getting a re-enlistment bonus.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
But there is a sign-on bonus, and I'm like, retention is at an all-time low, and you guys want to do what?
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, yeah, I mean, there are incentives like the sign-on bonuses. So it could be $8,000, it could be $90,000. Like it just depends on what your job is. But it's awesome. The Navy's got great opportunities, sign-on bonuses, tuitions assistance while you're in, your GI Bill afterwards, and then you have all these courses you're going through. You can just take tests for. You can challenge boards.
Mm-hmm.
I can challenge an EMT board. I can challenge a MA board, which is some sort of low-grade nursing board, and I could get a job right out of the gate like that. But the Navy's got opportunities. You just got to look for them. Like I said before, do your research, figure out what path you want to take, and then stick to it. Commit is the biggest thing.
Well, cool. That's good advice, I think. So, no, Travis, I want to say thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
No, it's been an honor talking to you and catching up with you. I haven't seen you in too long, so.
I know. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a post-show between you and I and no mics.
All right, man. Well, I just want to say thank you for being here. It's been an honor. And, of course, thank you for your service, as always.
I practice this. Hang on.
Okay.
Thank you for your support.
There you go.
That's good.
The wise words from HM3 right there. So, thank you, Travis, for being here. I want to thank everyone for listening again, giving the show listen to. If you have an interesting career or know someone who does, please let us know, and love to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Share some beers to drink with you, and we'll see
Comment
you guys next time.
5-star review, and then comment what the job is, and then we'll read it. Anything less than 5-star review, and then we can't read it. Sorry. Doesn't show up as a notification.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.